Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective, the next generation of leaders. Those who are new, you don't know me, I'm not so somatic mindset micro habits. Who loves them? Yay! Earthquake, panic attack, so a sub-somatic mindset habit that I have when the earthquake hit, and then breathe. When the panic attack came around, I'm like, what? I hadn't had one of those in, maybe I jinxed myself because I had mentioned that. No. So let's talk about it, okay? So why does panic or deep exhaustion often hit days after a crisis has passed? And if you do know, it's our lovely embodied brain, our nervous system does a great job at protecting us. So when an intense survival event, like an earthquake, shocks your environment, meaning your body, your nervous system will mobilize, high adrenaline or whatever comes forth. I'm not the memorization of all of that stuff, but you know what? I'm thinking about the crisis dependency people. So it's the adrenaline that they're like hooked on. We are not. That's why the core Sub-Somatic mindset practices, they help those who want to pivot completely to ventral. So an earthquake, I did great. I was not overwhelmed, and I still, though, my body will still have mobilized. So this adrenaline keep me function in the moment, and only to later process that somatic charge. In fact, slowly allow itself to relax, which didn't happen until the day after. And that was where that same night I didn't go to sleep till like 6 a.m. Okay, so your nervous system sovereign when you can autonomously self-regulate. And so those 4 S's: soothe, safe, secure. Yes, you see yourself, you soothe yourself, safe yourself, secure yourself. So the inner mental and emotional model is that of a functional adult plus the functional child adult, which is why here we're going to chit chat about this real life application of that, which are free PDFs and paid PDFs on the HIP store that you can find if you're new. And in the meantime, following that lovely earthquake, so in the moment I did the sub-somatic mindset practice of stabilizing and within my own body, knowing what was what, rationally speaking, looking around, reaching out to family, friends, people. My neighbor and I actually opened our doors, and we immediately looked each other in the eye and were like, yeah, neither of us shit our pants, woohoo, you know. So we're teasing, and humor is great to have, obviously, in that moment, but they have explained very well how not to walk down the stairs and not go in the middle of the street, while some people will completely disregard all of those instructions, and they will go out, and in the street they go. And the area that we're in, some of those places had downtown, yeah. So anyways, what I really want to allow myself to spell out before we keep moving forward is that coaching, personal growth, spiritual growth, any of the practices that someone like myself or a person who's not a mindful therapist offers you is for when you're ready to do more. And so if you don't own your window of tolerance yet, then that's something that I'm trying to let people know. You want to go own it. Because one day, if I ever want to, I know who I'm going to go when it comes to those panic attacks. But like I was saying, I have a number of reasons why I am strongly aware of my body brain went through the shock of that earthquake. So not only my body, neighbors, because we will regulate. So it's not somatic countertransference. I'm not worried about another human being's nervous system because I know how to differentiate and link. Thanks to Dr. Daniel Siegel, I have those words. Thanks to my own self, I've known how to do this since I was a kid. And so panic, I was not taken over by panic, no. Survival surges, yeah, the human truth is I checked for cracks because my baby sister's smart, so I made sure there were no more cracks. And then I slept the day after, eventually, at a regular time, and my body, all the muscles were relaxing, I could tell. Okay, so you'll notice your body as it begins to relax after an event like an earthquake. If you have interoception, and if you are ventral pivoting all the way through, because it's when distress hits again and again, and you notice you can survive. And so emotionally, your window tolerance grows to window welcome. That's your emotional body. It's not a pain body. Your ego doesn't die, so there's no ego death, dark night soul, the whole twin flame stuff. Yes, there are twin flames, but you don't die. you continue noticing how your body is able to handle that which are called emotions, and eventually you're completely having fun, which is why sages and enlightened ones and those who are expert yogis are not afraid of the dark anymore. But then again, I'm still human. I'm only human. So, which is the part that I try telling people, the enlightenment soul age group exists, but of course we're in an embodied brain, which means that I am still not going to let go of complete control, because that left and that right are human. So you embody that which is a regulated spiritual and human one, and welcome aboard. So when you check out PayHip, the free PDFs, the Smart Micro Habit is a complete shift. You can use it for a sub-somatic mindset moment, like that earthquake immediately hit, and then as a core practice. And here's where responsible boundaries. So self-led micro habits versus therapy. If the tools work, means you don't have clinical dissociation. I know of people who instead, right now, they're going through, for example, crises with family members. And they have described what is clinical dissociation and out-of-body experience. They, though, have a therapist, and they go to them regularly. So I know that that therapist, if it's a good one, it's a somatic experiencing with the mindset stuff. And they will continue to support them to expand that window of tolerance to want to welcome or whatever it is, but they're taking responsibility of their emotional and mental plane the right way, the person. So they're not going to coach, they're not asking me for my free PDFs to handle this. They are actively taking the responsible and effective and appropriate measures. When you hear companies with their training, I've heard it from a number of them, and I'm spotting a bunch of bullshitters, might I add. Okay, oh god, they're wow, pow, wow. I'm like, okay, adult attachment interview, mindful therapist all around, and then taking seriously getting safe, seen, soothed, secure from your own inner world. Once you know how to be compassionate, and that means you have the primary compassion for yourself and then for others, that means you have no enemies that you would not be compassionate for, which is why lovely Dalai Lama, as he points to Dr. Daniel Siegel at a conference, I heard this through a grapevine though, so don't, write down notes or whatnot, but from Dr. Dan's reel, he said, I had went to the compassionate seminar or whatever it was, and the Dalai Lama said, religion failed, so now it's up to you. And I'm like, yep, scientists are doing a great job, but it's not because of the attachment trauma educators. We have scientists who don't believe in attachment trauma educators. Actually, we have coaches out there with their one little finger. They're going to dismantle modern day therapists, and they make millions off of people. You know what I do when I spot them? Don't think it, women, after they fuck you. Wedding bells. And I think, oh, you're trash. Don't you know what the ignorant boys and girls still saying? I'm 46 and I'm still spotting them out there. They're hilarious. No, they're not. I really don't like fake people. That's how it feels when you meet the weak ones. Excuse me, did I mention what weakness is? So the part about when people want to give evil a name, there's not evil. Enemy a name, there's not an enemy. If you're a smart person, you understand how the world works. And that's because a discerning mind knows how to use two sides of brain, and the scientists have proven every single bit of what an embodied brain is. So when I spot, I have two groups of people: smart ones, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, the ones who don't want to do it, and they like to point at me and think I don't know what I'm talking about. And I like to say, you know what? The Buddhist psychologists have informed me of the right to be quiet when I can't add anything, and lovely Terry has informed me what an adaptive child part looks like. And they know that they're talking over me. No, I know they're talking over me because they usually think they're right. Excuse me. You can feed in science and spirituality. Random human being, as I'm having a serious conversation, by the way. As a coach, mentor, content creator, I don't only come here to tell you all how amazing you are to be yourself and to check out PayHip for those free PDFs so that you can put into practice the tools that work because you have nervous system sovereignty. So the baseline capacity for you to do any of that which is going to be effective with personal growth and spiritual growth is that you are able to be yourself. Steady self-image, self-regulation, and therefore you know, one, that you have the biological capacity, every human does, but those who don't, they are not meant to have the shaman who says, come to me, don't go to therapy, the tarot reader, or some ridiculous powwow experience, which again, corporate and whoever it is that is spending billions, well, There's I think, what was it, an economics brain study. So it's basically when you will have spent so much money, you won't tell yourself the truth. I wasted it. Shame. You could just put shame in all of it. Because, see, it's nice to have healthy fear. Because healthy fear is, I got scared with the earthquake. And I guess I got so scared that then eventually I had a panic attack, which was really boring yesterday. And then it was also nice to have my loving family support me. And it's not boring enough to make me think that I'm not overwhelmed. It's boring in the sense of I wasn't expecting it. My twin had one a couple days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. So I was like, that could be something. Then we have the 8-8 portal. That might be it too, because Ascension energies are always pretty. But wait, I also was a little sloppy with my good diet, like really sloppy. So that probably didn't help me. And the weather, which those who don't believe the environment needs our assistance. I love heat, might I add. So my body is really healthy in that way also because I use the ventral vagal state. And so with stress, ventral vagal state, aware that the sky won't fall, although I'll be afraid of it. My point is all of these complex systems don't have perfect formulas. You're a complex system, so am I. Difference of the ones who don't know how to use their own complex nervous system is that they don't know that they're not using two sides. Well, I'll notice it. Okay, so the self-led micro habits are for people who are nervous system sovereign. That's why the guides, also the regulated leader, the accessible guide, your sovereign blueprint. And when I spot smart people, they're stable, mature, adaptive, rational, and teachable. And they take responsibility of their nervous system. And so when someone wants to say a mystic, spiritual, or a personal coach or mentor or whatever, self-help is a charlatan, no, you don't understand how your window tolerance works, you're overwhelmed, you're upset, you really want someone to say it's going to be okay, and I can say it, but by validating you, I'm not empowering you. I'll validate your feelings and I'll give you a hug. But if you don't choose to move eventually into window welcome with your emotional plane, but this is the part again, if you know how to autonomously self-regulate and take yourself seriously, and then you actually watch how you treat others, which is why that universal level of compassion is a 2 type that the Dalai Lama was telling lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel about. Yes, you love compassion towards yourself, which you learn from, he says, the mother, but it's really the attachment figure. Safe, secure, I can speak up my mind. Soothed, you better bet I'm going to speak my mind. I just won't do it in a way of projection because I know how to differentiate and link, and everybody is different. 2 level, universal compassion. Love your enemy. What enemy? Dalai Lama, there's no enemies. There's just 2 groups of people. The emotionally mature, mentally mature ones, and then the other group who doesn't want to do it. So the biology of the capacity. Why was I able to contain the charge? Because of the capacity to be aware of what was happening in my body thanks to a number of panic attacks previous to these earthquakes. Number 1, that is pure fear. That one was fabulous. No, it wasn't, but that was when I actually noticed a little trauma charge in my heart right here, a little pokety poke. I'll never forget because Bethany Brand and Ruth Lanius mentioned what this is, this trauma charge thing, and I only had one little thing with fear, and I know why, because I know my story. Also, I'm a preemie, so there's this thing with incubators, because I can learn to co-regulate only when I'm self-regulating. No, I can learn to self-regulate only when I'm co-regulating with another human. When they put my twin and I separately in incubators, I was like in a dark room, but lifeless, meaning nothing around me that's human, and that means freeze, or something like that. So I'm thinking my body is getting rid of a bunch of things. But the pokety poke with fear, I'm a scaredy cat. So I have healthy fear, and now I'm able to uncouple the physical sensation. So for the panic attack, I kind of should have known because I was having a lot of energy around my third eye and crown. But it was pressure, and then I started to have intruding thoughts. Anyone ever have a panic attack? This time, I'm done with that. I'm going to die. Now it's I'm going to black out. I'm going to become blind. I'm going to faint somewhere. I'm gonna see dark. Like I keep on I'm like, okay, come on, ego, now you had to make up some other story. Why are we talking about going blind and passing out and just starting to see nothing? So I can be double awareness. So I'm aware of the intruding thoughts, my nervous system is activated, I know what's going on. And I know that there's a number of variables, including this earthquake, including the twin thing, because there's stories for identical twins, and my twin and I, we have had things happen one near the other, so it's actually quite cool. Obviously, panic attacks are not cool, but as my entire support system, baby sister's with me, helping me out. She's obviously not a baby anymore, and my mom and my twin and my niece, so it was a good time. And I did laugh as my lovely baby sister tried to get me to breathe, and she's like, but you do this stuff. I said, yeah, I do somatic mindset. I don't actually have them sit in silence, because that's for the meditators to do, but we definitely know about the the value of frequency. Peter Levine's taught me about sounds too, so has Sadhguru. So the sub-somatic mindset shift that I can support you with is 5 seconds. With that lovely PDF, you will be able to be aware again of what's going on, introception, but then to uncouple okay, I'm activated, the thinking, having dual awareness, and then grounding yourself with the stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, the ventral pivot. Now that you are at ease, as you have brought your system back into place. So for me, the panic attacks, they last the time that they all say will last, about 15 minutes. In fact, there was a bathroom, at least 3. I knew that the 3rd was not the last one, because I could feel my body still activated. And then the 4th, evacuation, and I was like, okay, now I'm feeling it. Now, this is the part of where you'll know how you actually get back into complete wholeness, if you will. So from the earthquake all the way to this, the 4th yesterday, the day of the earthquake, I was up till 6 a.m. If you tuned into any of the episodes, I told you about that. Okay, so then as I am easily able to breathe, be rational, all this great stuff, the day after, luckily, no more of the big earthquake. So my body begins to relax. So now the adrenaline or whatever, that activated state, is wearing off, and I can feel it. It's like really nice. My shoulders, everything is just relaxing. And then I slept the whole night, and so I'm sleeping until like 2 in the afternoon. That was where by the day 3, so 31st, 1, I sleep good. 2, sleep till 2 p.m. Actually, that's right, because the 31 night. Okay, anyways, do the math. But the 3rd was a good day, and then the 4th is where I have this lovely, not so lovely panic attack. And with the micro habit part, obviously for me, as the human elements involve no core wounds, what I'm going to say it involved is pure fear, or fear and handling that lack of complete certainty that we all want. And so being in control is something that an embodied brain, a human being, will want, because that's exactly what makes us human. And you do dissolve it, and you can become aware of it. So from the Spiritual Enlightenment Collective, that's where I will say those who think the dark side of the soul, ego death, and all that happens, you don't actually end participating, but you do discern ego, self, the higher self, and then when you're channeling, downloading, and all that other stuff. So you're able to be completely aware for spiritual mystic, for mindful, and therefore for what is most important, since we all will want to embody the restorative embodiment. The ventral pivot supports you to create the resilience that your nervous system was made for. And as our species evolves into the future, that's what makes us future humans. So the somatic mindset practices that you will find with the free PDF and the one-day guide are for those of you who do have nervous system fluency. So you're able to do a sub-somatic mindset practice in a 1 minute. That doesn't mean you like it or not. Then you're able to continue to allow your body to do what it does. Then if you have any kind of fallback, so this panic attack, I'm not thinking it's because I'm better or I'm worse. I'm thinking there's a number of variables that are at play, and that I hadn't had one in a while, and I was really sloppy with my diet, and it's really hot. So too many variables to actually think that it might be related to one or the other. But at the end of the day, there's no shame in knowing that at one point, for example, if I have the opportunity to work with somatic experiencing therapists, I will, because I know that they're the ones who are going to help me to understand, because they're brilliant and they do their schoolwork and then become somatic experiencing mindful therapists, because they actually care about our embodied brains. As for the spiritual stuff, actually, this is the fun part. Enlightenment Soul Age Group, we don't learn about ourselves through others. The other soul age groups, they're out there too, but also 3D 4D is going to stick around. So with this, you know what your capacity is for personal growth and spiritual growth. I know what our human capacity is, and everyone can achieve their infinite higher human consciousness potential, but I understand that I can't make them become friends with their window tolerance, because you can't make someone learn to alert, put their prefrontal cortex down, hug themselves, and know, yeah, the earthquake was a big pain in the ass. But, I will do that which is planned accordingly with what I can plan. What I can't plan, we're going to go with the policymakers. We say, yeah, we're going to go and do things right equanimously. I don't have to go shouting in my sympathetic. So the ones who are in distress and they continue with their survival loops, they tend to have these bad habits that I'm not going to talk about right now. But when you meet the smoke and mirrors, they're obvious to those of us who understand what true leaders are made of. They're made of not only common sense, they use an executive decision-making function area. And so enlightened ones are the future, because our species evolves always. And over time, the only ones who stay backwards are the same ones who seem to not know who gives us infinite potential. When you learn how your embodied brain works, are you happy about it? I'll use a last example. So for panic attacks, I already knew about the spiritual, light body, rainbow body, my twin flames, all that great stuff, my oversoul, you name it, the downloads that I continuously have. I got people right here, they're still waiting. Because I'm like, you're waiting because I'm taking care to support people to do personal growth and spiritual growth. You will come in with the messages you want me to share with our future humans at the appropriate time. So that's how easy it is for me to let you in on spiritual stuff. Here's the human stuff. People who can do their prefrontal cortex and stay on are consistently caring about that which is everything, because they understand how things work. They know science is facts and data. They know how researchers, policymakers, and everything. So they don't get up and in their buttholes in a way of the saturation that comes with the hippocampus being saturated with cortisol. So when you have people who are not connected because they're not present, attuning, resonating, trusting themselves, you're going to spot how they work, because they tend to bring the ancient history over and over and over again, but they also defend their position in ways that makes them illogical at a certain point. With that being said, the ones who follow each other around and validate each other but don't empower our human species to move into the future and become more are the same ones who don't walk with us because they're competing with the wrong team. No, because they're blind and they're deaf. They're just not mute. So the survival loop is not one that anyone who will have comfortableness with their nervous system will want to stick to. Empowered composure is that which an enlightened being and a discerning person brings. And you don't want to be reactive with anger, because again, the hippocampus gets saturated with cortisol. You'll notice the fuzziness immediately. I remember when I was like, you know what, this isn't going to work. Not with what you're choosing to do. This actively is completely sending you into the wrong picture, because when you are using generalizations and stereotypes, thumbs you down. The cortisol, the hippocampus getting saturated with it. Okay, so I am giving you the gist of a bunch of different pieces of information, but essentially the lovely free tools and the paid tools on PayHip, join us on Substack. That's for those of you who do understand that your lovely body does you good, and so does your mind. So again, an earthquake, a panic attack, they ain't no fun. But I don't whine to nutshell therapy lady who gave me the answer to what panic attacks are and how to work with it. In fact, I thank her to this day. I'll never forget when I got that first video in front of me, because I knew the spiritual stuff already. I knew the light bulb, all of that, but that didn't give my left brain the explanation. We all want to have control, meaning understanding, because we all like to be aware. That's the empowered person. Those who are overwhelmed by information, they seem to not notice, though, that by being epistemically lazy, by allowing themselves to get overwhelmed, to not listen to differences, then to get up and in their butts of what they like or don't like, they become ignorant. And so they only follow around whoever it is. And those people, unfortunately, don't want everyone's best interest. They want that their perfect method makes millions for them, and they do that. So smart means that you know what's effective. Otherwise, it's really not the whole picture. And so people, all of us, we get to be the future humans, restorative, embodied, self-aware, kind of regulating. Everybody has a different window tolerance. No two nervous systems are alike, but we all can achieve a good level of resilience. There's resilience programmed, blah, blah, blah. And with those lovely digital products you add to it, and with the community of people. So we continue to work together, and we're not afraid of somatic countertransference, because emotions are not contagious. we self-regulate and then we co-regulate, and we know to differentiate and link because it's called a mui. So we embody the mui that Dr. Daniel Siegel taught me about, because we're not afraid of our brothers and sisters, because no one fucks with mui, because no one fucks with this person. And that's the part of where, when you are secure, it's because you see, soothe, safe, secure yourself. So your mental and emotional inner security is, I'm Maria, and that is my name. And as for the spiritual stuff, we have no name. It's just a bunch of intelligence and love. And no, I know there are those who say consciousness wants to experience shit. Let me leave that for our spiritual stories. In the meantime, check out Pay Hip, the 1-day inner growth mindset practices, the journal prompts, and then the lovely Smart Micro Habit, lovely PDF out there for your human stuff and for your body stuff. And then also check out, again, TikTok, Instagram. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.